Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from YourBlackWorld.com, and I wanted to take a second to talk about something that I hit in an interview with Deborah Cooper. Deborah's interesting. Deborah is a person that I don't always agree with, but when someone makes a good point, I definitely want them to get credit for that. And Deborah wrote an interesting new book. The book was called The Black Church, where women pray and men pray. And pray is spelled with an A for women and an E for men. So she's saying that there are predators in the church who take advantage of the fact that African American women are so loyal to the men that they listen to in church, and many of our black churches are led by men. And we know about the stories, we know about the scandal. Now, what's so interesting about this book is that, first of all, I can say, as the son of a preacher, I don't think that anybody is in a position to ever condemn all of religion or condemn the entire black church or to condemn every black man in the black church. That's not what she's doing, and that's certainly not something that I would do. But I think that there is room for a conversation about the intense degree of loyalty that black women have to the church. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but a Pew study did show that black women are the most religious demographic in the country. I don't think I know a single black woman. Maybe I know maybe less than 1% of the black women I've met in my entire life were not religious, but almost every woman I've ever met, African American woman, especially in the South, is deeply connected to church and Jesus and God and the pastor and everything else. And what's so interesting to me is that through the years I've kind of noticed where sometimes that intense loyalty is certainly exploited. I know that sometimes the egos of men can cause men to do things that can be a little bit selfish at the end of the day. We know that a lot of men, especially younger men and even older men, they want sex. And when a woman is hypnotized by you, she's listening to every word you say, she does what you tell her to do. Well, a lot of times that's an easy way to get sex. And, one of the things that I think is definitely true, and this is something that I tell my daughters, is that, I think it's okay to get advice or even spiritual advice from anybody who offers good advice to you, but I don't think you should ever get to the point where you allow anybody to think for you. And one of the things that I've noticed that I think is a little bit of a concern is I think that there are a lot of black women, for example, who've been told you should never date or marry somebody who's not equally yoked, who doesn't go to church the way you do, who isn't saved the way you do. And I'm not going to argue with that point one way or the other, but one thing I can say is that there are a lot of people out here running around here who claim to be very spiritual, but who are some lying, dirty dogs. I mean, who do things that I would never in a million years imagine doing to a woman. I mean, guys that will be all up in the church 4 or 5 days a week, who can quote Bible verses like the back of their hand, who are some of the most dirty scoundrels I've ever seen in my life. So my question to women who feel that they have to be with a man who goes to church is, does it make sense if he goes to church and professes Jesus and God and everything else, if he treats you poorly, if he gives you a venereal disease, if he cheats on you, if he's out here doing horrible things? I don't think that makes a lot of sense. And maybe I'll take this a little bit personally, because I remember there was a time where I loved a woman very much, and she could not be with me because her church told her that she could not be with a man who did not go to church like her. And what I noticed, though, was that, when she dated other men who were pastors and who were deacons and all this other stuff, they were dogs. I mean, they cheated and disrespected her and did all kinds of stuff, but yet somehow going to church makes a person appear somehow superior to other people. Now, this person, I don't hold any grudges. There's always more fish in the sea. But the fact is that I never understood that. I always thought that even though we're not perfect spiritually, that the goal is to seek to aspire to a higher spiritual ground. And if you're consistently going to the same dirty ground, you're still living like a dog all week long and using church on Sundays as an opportunity to cleanse yourself from all the dirt that you did last week and the dirt you're going to do next week, almost like it's a spiritual bathtub, then you haven't gotten any closer to God than somebody out here on the street. And I don't care what anybody has to say about that. That's just stupid to think that you can just go around and say a bunch of words and hocus pocus is going to clear you up for all the dirt you're doing to other human beings. So what I will say at the end of the day, very simply, and again, this is not an assault on the church. This is not an assault on good men in the church. This is certainly not an assault on black women who believe in their God and believe in their pastor. It's to say that my belief is that everyone should think for themselves. When you get to the point where you hand your brain over in the collection plate the minute you walk in the door, then you are setting yourself up to be manipulated by those whose spirits are not yet pure. So, and that goes for me too. As I give you this advice, just take this as words of advice, but don't take this as me telling you what to do, because I'm not a replacement for your pastor. So that's all I want to say. Happy dating and good luck to everybody out there, and thank you for supporting us at YourBlackWorld.com. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm gone. Peace.